So anyways, then the giant says, "You call that a sword?" We interrupt your regularly scheduled local disaster tour guide video to bring you this live reaction from a winner of RPG Superstar 2021. Hello travelers and tourists, my name is Mark and I am the local disaster tour guide. That's right, I am a storyteller who has the honor of being an RPG Superstar winner 2 years in a row. Gotta say, this is pretty cool. I'm kind of blown away right now. Welcome to a journey through the fantastic world of TTRPGs like Pathfinder and Starfinder. Today, I'm going to be doing, I guess you could say, a casual channel update video. Mostly I'm just celebrating the RPG Superstar news, but I figured this would also be a good opportunity to give you some updates from my life and for my channel, just to kind of let you all know what's going to be going on in the near future. But we will start with the big news for this video, which is the RPG Superstar 2021 winners have been announced, and I am excited to announce that 2 of my monsters made it through and won prizes this year. I have a copper prize winning monster and a silver prize winning monster, and I am super excited to be on the winners list 2 years in a row. I guess I should start out by saying thank you to the entire team at Roll for Combat. The RPG Superstar competition is a lot of fun to participate in, and I appreciate Stephen Glicker and Mark Seifter and all of the other people who are part of putting this competition on. It was a ton of fun to participate last year, and it was a ton of fun to participate this year as well, and I just want to say thank you to that entire team. Yes, it is cool to get to say that my monsters won a prize, but even better than that, if you ask me, is seeing competitions like this happen. Having this kind of interaction between the industry and the people who play the game, to me, that's just a fantastic indicator of the health of the TTRPG community and the Pathfinder community in specific. I love seeing things like this happen, so I want to give a huge thank you to Roll for Combat for hosting this competition. Win or lose, I love seeing stuff like this happen, and I had a ton of fun participating. I also want to say a quick thank you to everyone who did participate. If you submitted a monster for RPG Superstar, thank you for being a part of this. Or if you were one of the people who came in and spent some time judging and giving feedback and being part of the public voting round, thank you as well. I appreciate everyone who has been a part of this, and I appreciate everyone who has contributed to the success of this event. Yes, it's cool that I get to celebrate my monsters a little bit in this video, but I think the bigger celebration we can have is this wonderful event inside of the Pathfinder community and what it represents for the health of the game overall. So anyways, as I said, I had 2 monsters that actually took a prize this year. I had a monster that won a copper prize, and that was the Abandoned. And then I had a monster that won a silver prize called the Frenzied Trashfire. Now, I am filming this particular video about 40 minutes after I found out that I actually won some prizes. So obviously there is no artwork. Obviously I've still got to go through the whole editing process with the team from Roll for Combat. So there is still a lot of work that's going to be done before I can actually show these monsters off in any way. But I can still talk about them. So my 2 monsters this year were the Abandoned and the Frenzied Trashfire. The Abandoned is a unique undead creature that I created, and I'm really proud of the opening line that I wrote for this creature. Some people die long before they draw their last breath. I imagined the Abandoned as undead who are created by the overwhelming sense of loss and isolation that comes from being abandoned by people that they love. You can imagine someone who is separated from their family in a catastrophe, or who is abandoned for one reason or another, and who is overwhelmed by the isolation and the grief, and that emotion twists into a bitterness that carries them into undeath. I designed the Abandoned around a couple of different mechanics. One of them is an aura of isolation, which causes player characters to be overwhelmed by the same sense of isolation that the undead suffers. If they fail their will saves, they must spend actions moving until they are adjacent to an ally, and they can't do anything else until they have, in some fashion, negated the sense of being alone. The other ability that I designed for the Abandoned are these overwhelming tears of grief. When you first meet the Abandoned, their eyes are cloudy because they're filled with tears that occasionally roll down the creature's cheeks, leaving burn marks and causing steam to hiss off the creature's body. These tears and these cloudy eyes actually cause the Abandoned to treat all creatures as concealed when the fight first begins, but the Abandoned has different abilities that allow them to spray their tears out in a bitter cone of liquid that can dazzle or even blind their enemies. And as the Abandoned sheds their tears, their vision improves, allowing them to better lock on to their targets. I have used these in my home game, and it had a pretty wonderful effect on my players, and I'm excited to see that it went over so well in this competition. I'm glad that people liked it. For my second monster, which won a silver prize in this year's competition, I have to give credit where credit is due. The original concept for this monster came from my wife, Mrs. Disaster Tour Guide. Whenever we were talking about the competition, she asked me if it would be possible to turn the year 2020 into a monster. And when we were joking about how to do that, one of the things that got pitched is, if you remember the internet memes where the year 2020 was being compared to a dumpster fire. So we came up with the idea of a raging dumpster fire as an enemy, and this morphed into a creature I called the Frenzied Trash Fire. It is a pollution elemental created by druids in an attempt to punish the excesses of civilization that unfortunately escaped the control of the druids and now exists in a state of constant rage against its environment. The Frenzied Trash Fire can heal itself by absorbing and burning different piles of trash that it might encounter, and it can absorb different pieces of trash to modify its body and give its attacks different traits during combat. In particular, the Frenzied Trash Fire has the ability to leave piles of burning trash all over the battlefield, which it can then hide behind while it flings pieces of burning trash at your player characters as its primary ranged attack. I've got to say, it was just fun turning a 2020 meme into a monster, and I was glad to see that so many people responded well to this monster. So those were my two winning monsters. I'm glad that people liked them. I'm glad that the judges liked them. And I've got to say, there are a ton of other fantastic monsters from RPG Superstar 2021. I will throw a link in the video description down below so that you can go and check out some of the cool monsters that people have submitted. I might even do a video in the future highlighting some of my favorite monsters that other contestants submitted. Let me know if you would be interested in that. But overall, it was a ton of fun to participate. I'm so glad that some of my monsters won again this year. And I am looking forward to working with Roll for Combat to edit my monsters, get it into a finalized form, and see another book featuring some of my creations possibly hitting store shelves in the future. But up next, I want to talk a little bit about the future of this channel. I will admit that the last couple of months have been a roller coaster for me as a content creator, not necessarily because of the YouTube side of things, but just because of the sometimes life is crazy side of things. If you were following the channel last year, you may remember that I had a severe medical problem last year. I had a bad allergic reaction to some medicine, and it actually led to some very serious medical complications for me, primarily in the form of nerve damage. That nerve damage is slowly healing, and I am getting better. And back in January, I actually crossed what was a major threshold for me personally. The nerve damage was primarily concentrated in my arms and in my hands, and I lost a lot of use of my arms and my hands last year when all of this medical stuff started happening. And in case you're wondering, Yes, it is a little bit tricky to figure out how to record and edit videos when your arms and hands are not exactly cooperating with you. I will admit that last year was a little bit of a struggle because my channel was just starting to explode and take off and do really, really well. And at the same time, I was wrestling with these severe medical problems. And if you've been following the channel for a while, you may have seen that I would go through phases where I would be producing content really well, and then my content would drop off. It would seem like I would bounce back and forth a lot, and that's kind of the reason that that was happening is my body was going through this recovery process that made it very difficult for me, and I didn't always know if I was going to have a good day or a bad day or a good week or a bad week. And then finally in January, I crossed a pretty major threshold. One of the worst things in this whole experience for me has been that when I lost most of the use of my arms and hands, I lost the ability to hold my son. I have a little boy. He's not quite 2 years old yet, and it was devastating for me as a father to be in a situation where my arms weren't reliable and I couldn't just reliably pick up and hold my son. And I have fought very hard to try and heal and to try and recover, and I go to therapy very regularly for my arms and my hands because, one of my big goals was I want to hold my kid again. So anyways, back in January, I finally crossed that threshold where I had regained enough strength in my arms and in my hands that I was like, I can hold my kid again. I'm doing good. I'm on the way back up. And I still had problems. I still had some issues, but I felt like I had taken a big step forward in terms of healing. As a result of that, I was feeling so good that I began to ramp up the video production for this channel. I started putting out a lot of videos, I started experimenting with a lot of videos, and I started dropping a lot of videos left and right because I really wanted to take advantage of the growth that my channel was seeing, and I felt like finally my health was in a position where I could kind of keep up with all of that. And then February happened. I had gotten really far ahead in my video production. I was getting things done, I was being productive, and then I had a really bad fall. I'll just be honest, there were several things that were kind of lumped together that made February a rough month for me, but the moment that kind of turned everything for me is one day I took a really, really severe fall and actually landed really hard on this hand. And that moment set me back in terms of my schedule, set me back in terms of my health, set me back, if I'm being honest, in terms of my emotions. It was really hard to go from feeling in January like I'm getting better, I'm getting stronger, I'm making strides, things are coming together, and then in February to take this really bad fall and feel like, no wait, I'm still sick, I'm still recovering, I'm still in this healing process. And if I'm being transparent with you, I've had to take a really serious look at my health and recognize that yes, I am doing better, but yes, I also have a ways to go before I am truly healed. So what that means practically for this channel is that ramped up video production schedule that I was using through January through early February, that is not something that I can manage like I thought I could, at least not right now. And so what I am planning to do is for the month of April, I am going to be cutting back a decent chunk in terms of the content that I produce. Basically, my goal is to cut my long-form content in about half through the month of April to give my body and mind the chance that it needs to honestly recover. Now, right now, I do 2 long-form videos every week, or at least that's my goal. So through April, my plan is to have 1 long-form content video each week instead. So you should still see this channel popping up reasonably regularly inside of your feed. But just be aware that I am going to be taking a little bit of a step back from this channel to give my body the rest of the time that it needs to heal, and my hope is to return to that more regular content production schedule starting in May. Now, with that in mind, I do have some things I want to go ahead and announce. If you are a part of my Discord community, you may know that I have a friend who has a Twitch stream called The Book of Dump Truck, and on March 31st, he is going to be having a special day-long episode on his Twitch stream where he has invited me to come and host a one-shot session of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And I've got some players for that. I don't want to announce exactly what's going to be appearing on his Twitch stream that day, but please stay tuned to the channel because there will be some announcements going up towards the end of this month. And then sometime inside of April, I do plan to post a video of that one-shot game to my channel as well, so stay tuned for those announcements. Also, one of the things that I'm hoping to do starting this summer is to offer some paid Pathfinder 2nd Edition games, and those games will be going through my Patreon. I'm currently working through figuring out a new job schedule, so I don't want to announce the Patreon games until I know what my new job schedule is going to be. But please stay tuned to the channel and feel free to check out my Discord because I will be posting announcements for those again hopefully in May sometime. But overall, I just want to say thank you all so much for being here and supporting me. I really appreciate my community. I have an absolutely fantastic community, and I have appreciated all of your support and encouragement last year and this year, and I love the feedback and all of the ideas I get. You all are absolutely amazing, and I am excited to see where else this channel goes and what else we get to do on this channel. And as I said at the start of this video, I'm super excited that I won again. That's so cool. But thank you all. Thank you for being here and being a part of the conversation. Have a wonderful day.